is a time of daffodils, hot cross buns, spring lambs and chocolate eggs, when we all remember how the Easter lamb laid a chocolate egg that was hidden in a tomb and then stolen. But then, what happened then?
None of that happened. None of it, except in your heads.
So what is Easter about?
I'm glad you asked. Easter is the story of how Jesus lives.
I thought Jesus died.
He did, but now he lives. If you only remember one thing about this story, and even that seems optimistic, remember that Jesus lives. We're going to see what really happened. The story is in all 4 Gospels.
Oh, I know these. Matthew, John, Paul and Ringo, Frodo, Hermione.
Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. But we're going to follow Luke's account. So we're in Jerusalem, a city on the edge of the Roman Empire, and lots of people aren't very happy about that. It's about 36 AD, just about tea time, which is also known as the Last Supper.
Oh dear, oh dear. I feared the worst. When 13 blokes took the party room, it's always pretty grim in there afterwards, especially when they order wine. Loads, although apparently Jesus can make his own. Loads of it, and bread. Don't ask me how. My husband Isaac can barely make a pita when he has all the ingredients. Anyway, it was a very quiet evening in the end. I was not listening at the door. This one's a bit too thick. But it didn't sound like much of a party, which is weird. I mean, it's Passover. I know it's all about the wine these days, but it's meant to be a celebration, isn't it? My mum used to tell me the Passover story about how people were slaves in Egypt, but God rescued us and brought us out into the desert where he fed us, which would be bread, which would be lying on the ground every morning. Bread on the ground. Imagine that. So if you're stuck somewhere you don't want to be, forced to be indoors when there's a plague passing over, remember, there's always hope. I had hope for Jesus. Oh, I did. I thought he'd rescue us from the Romans, but he's got a funny way of going about it. While I was clearing some plates at the end, Jesus took bread and wine and said to eat and drink these in remembrance of him, as if he was going to die. Isn't he a miracle worker who can raise people from the dead? I don't know what his game is. Anyway, we need to get this room cleared. Come along. Wipe the tables. We've got a dozen tax collectors in for some sort of breakfast meeting first thing.
When Jesus left the upper room, he went into the garden and met the Easter Bunny.
No, Luke did not say that.
They did an Easter egg hunt.
No, Jesus was arrested by people from the temple and a mob with swords and clubs.
Why? Jesus went around healing people and being generally kind and brilliant.
But they were really angry that Jesus was claiming to be God. They wanted to have him executed, but they needed the Romans for that.
That's awful.
So they took him to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. He couldn't find anything wrong with Jesus and said he could be released.
Yay!
But Jesus' enemies whipped up the crowd and they demanded that he crucify Jesus and release a man called Barabbas instead.
Wow, lucky old Barabbas.
I've really done it this time. I led a rebellion against the Romans. I might have murdered 1 or 2 people, and any day now they're coming to my cell to leave me out to crucify me. I tried everything, bribing the guard, threatening the witnesses, blackmailing the judge, None of that worked. Nor did the jailbreak. Here's a tip. If you're going to hide a big metal file in a loaf of bread, make sure it's a baguette. It's the right shape. My sister tried to hide it in some crusty buns. You can imagine how that went. And the guards ate the buns. Those were my buns.
Shut up.
Don't I get a final meal? A last request?
No, you've been a very naughty boy, and you're going down.
There's no rescue for me. Not a chance.
All right, Barabbas. Pilate's changed his mind. Jesus is going to die, you're going to live. You're free to go.
What, Jesus dies and I live? Well, who'd have thought it? Someone as rotten as me goes free.
Doesn't seem right to me, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, didn't I say when I was locked in here there's always hope?
No, you said, please don't lock me up. Here's 50 denarii, treat yourself.
Well, I might have said that. It's a beautiful day. Let's go.
Barabbas must have been one happy bunny.
Please stop talking about bunnies. We need to talk about what happened to Jesus next. He was being taken to a place called the Skull.
The skull? Ugh. What happened there?
Well, put it this way. It wasn't an ice cream parlour.
Wow, imagine an ice cream parlour called The Skull. 0 customers.
This is the place Jesus was executed. He was nailed to a big wooden cross and left to die with 2 other criminals.
I cannot wait to hear how Jesus got out of this one.
He didn't. Jesus died.
Oh, but... Oh!
And there was a centurion there to make sure it was all done properly.
That is not a very nice job to have.
Well, that was the weirdest day at work I've ever had. Normally there are 2 types, the mumblers and the screamers. The mumblers have given up hope because, let's face it, there is no hope on a cross. But the screamers are in denial, shouting and yelling at everyone and everything. We had a screamer today, yelling at me and this Jesus bloke. I have no idea why Jesus was being crucified. He doesn't seem the type. He was a mumbler. And you know what he said up there on the cross? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Well, I do know what I'm doing, my job. And it was a pretty weird thing to say. Anyway, this screamer criminal goes nuts and screams, "Aren't you supposed to be the true king from God? Save yourself, and us while you're at it." Then this other criminal jumps in, not literally, obviously, because he's, he's not a screamer, he's a dreamer. He says, "Don't you fear God? We're getting what we deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong." And then, and I'll never forget this, he says to Jesus, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." Dream on, dreamer. Jesus is on a cross, no hope. But then he says this to the dreamer, "Today you will be with me in paradise." What's that all about? Jesus can't help anyone from where he is. And then he dies, so that's the end of that. Weirdest day at work ever. Reminds me of my dad's story from 30 years ago when he was in Bethlehem. Anyway, dinner time. I'm famished. I've had nothing since a stale, crusty bun this morning. Let's have a look.
What a sad story. Anyway, happy Easter, everyone.
That's not the end. There's a serious twist you do not want to miss.
There is a bunny after all.
No! There is no bunny in this story. If you like bunnies, watch Watership Down. Actually, no. If you like bunnies, do not watch Watership Down. I cannot stress that enough. Anyway, back to our story, Luke's Gospel. A man called Joseph of Arimathea took Jesus' body down and laid it in a tomb.
Right. This doesn't seem like an improvement. This is more death.
You just wait. Whew.
Sorry, so tired. Running to Jerusalem because...
We just saw him. Jesus lives. It was really him and...
Let's back up. We were on the road to Emmaus talking about what had happened when we met this guy who asked us what we were chatting about. And we were like, duh, we're talking about Jesus. Where have you been?
Turns out it was Jesus.
Don't spoil it.
Sorry.
That's the best bit. So we started telling this guy all about how Jesus did amazing things and how he'd hoped he'd rescue us from the Romans. But the temple priest killed him on Friday. Then Sunday morning, some of the women went to the tomb.
And Jesus was gone.
Unbelievable. Anyway, where had he gone? We were sad and confused.
And this dude we met on the road explains how this whole thing had been planned by God and how it's been there all the way through the Bible from the very beginning.
And he told us how it's not rescue from the Romans that we need, it's actually rescue from sin and death, and how we can be with God forever.
Hearts on fire, mind blown, mic drop.
So we stopped off for a bite with this guy, and the moment he broke the bread, we realised it was actually Jesus.
There he was, alive.
All our hopes and dreams was there, eating bread with us.
Boom, gone. He just disappeared. Can you believe it?
Amazing. Can you believe him?
Sorry, it's just a brilliant story. And it means Jesus lives. There is hope. He can rescue us after all. So we're running back to Jerusalem to tell the others. Come on.
So this means Jesus is alive now.
Yep, unlike the Easter Bunny.
Someone killed the Easter Bunny.
No, no, no. The Easter Bunny was never... We might discuss that later. This story about Jesus is written in Luke's Gospel, a history of Jesus' life and death and life again. You can read it for yourself.
I might just do that with some chocolate.
Good idea. Can I have some?
No. All right then, let's go and find some. And we should watch that movie. What's it called? Watership Down.
No, not Watership Down! Well, I hope you really enjoyed that fun retelling of the Easter story. And it gives you something to chew on and think about as you enjoy your chocolate eggs and chocolate bunnies and all the other traditions that come with celebrating the Easter weekend. We're going to finish our time together online this morning by singing a song together. And Charlotte and Libby are going to lead us as we sing a song which reminds us about the good news and the hope that is at the heart of the Easter story. For God so loved the world. There's actions to this song, so why don't you jump up on your feet where you are and you can join in as Charlotte and Libby lead us.
I
much for joining us online this Easter Sunday. In a moment, I'm going to pray a final prayer of blessing for us all. But before I do, all that remains for me to do is to wish you a very happy Easter. So let's close our eyes and bow our heads as I lead us in a final prayer, asking God for his blessing this Easter time. May God the Father, who sent his only Son into the world to die and rise again out of love for us, bless us and keep us. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and remain with you and all those whom you love, now and always. Amen. Happy Easter, everyone. Have a great rest of the bank holiday weekend, and we look forward to seeing you soon at St Mary Magdalene as we continue to unlock.